Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on an awakening in the game that I think might kind of be a problem, but I'm not really sure, so I also kind of want to know your guys' thoughts on it, so I highly encourage that you guys also leave your opinions in the comments below, whether you agree with me or you disagree with me. But if you do disagree, I'd like to, maybe see a reasoning as to why you disagree instead of just saying, I disagree and you're wrong, because then that doesn't really contribute to any sort of discussion. But anyways, let's actually get on to the point. What I really want to talk about today is the Awakening cast to last, and how I think it needs to be toned down a little bit, because honestly, right now, I think it's way too good for what it is. My issue with it is the 70% buff and debuff increase that it gives characters. The 35% creation duration doesn't really, it's nothing crazy compared to, Timeless Creator, for example. But this one, for the 70% buff and debuff, I think it's kind of ridiculous on some characters. And it's because buffs and debuffs in this game are insanely strong for the most part. So when you're increasing when you're increasing the duration of these abilities, it kind of becomes a little crazy. And the characters I'm mostly talking about are Era, X, Rune, Feeny, and I'm not going to downplay this awakening on my own main character. I'm going to say Octavia as well. It's kind of ridiculous on her too. The reason why it's absolutely ridiculous on Era is her primary is already extremely irritating to play against. That shit is unreactable. You cannot react to Era primary unless you're really hard staring at her, and even then, sometimes you won't react to it fully. It's really fast, and it already slows and shrinks you, which makes you practically unable to play the game. If you're slowed and shrunk, unless the enemies hit the ball to you, you're AFK, essentially. For the 2.5 seconds that it usually slows you, it's about 2.5 seconds. I don't remember the exact amounts, but it's somewhere between two and 2.5. But cast to last, as soon as she gets that, it's somewhere around four. It's 4 to 4.5 seconds. I think it's more of 3.8 to 4 seconds. I don't know the exact amount, but it's very long. It almost goes to half of her primary cooldown, and that's without Chrono Boost on top of it, which is also an insanely good Era Awakening. But we're only talking about cast to last. That's the one I actually think is the problem. And it's the fact that her primary can fun police you for an absurd amount of time, and then you get hit by another 4 seconds later, is kind of ridiculous, because when Era shrinks you, you're practically down a player for those couple seconds. And I think it's too good on her. Another character, X. X's isn't the most craziest, but it's the fact that his X Maximus is already 3.5 seconds, which is fine. I'm not saying that's overpowered or anything, even though it is one of the best scoring tools in the game. But with cast to last, I'm pretty sure that makes that last a little over 5 seconds. Maybe even 5.5. And when you have X Maximus up for 5.5 seconds, that outputs insane amounts of damage. It gives you the best stat in the game, which is size. There is no better stat in the game besides size. Well, speed and size are the best stats. But size is so good, and the fact that he gets it for free off of his special, he gets insanely high damage off of him just being able to spam over and over. And he stun locks people, has a massive hitbox, it's great scoring. Usually for the 3.5 seconds, it's manageable. But when it comes down to it being 5.5 seconds, or we're not even going to count Chrono Boost on top of it if he takes that as well, he could get that thing up for an obscene amount of time, get so much damage and value, it's kind of insane. And yeah, it just lasts way too long with it. Overall, it lasts too long. On the next character, Rune. Rune's Banish is like Era's primary. It's just not as common, but it's just as annoying. Basically, it's a fun police ability. When cast, it's over by itself, it's not really that bad. But once he gets cast to last, it's on you for forever. If you get hit by it, you're basically dead till it goes away, and it lasts forever. And if he decides to throw his Portagolies on you while you're banished, you're taking an obscene amount of damage. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't need to last as long as it does. It doesn't have an obscenely long cooldown either. It does not need to last that long. And he also can hold the core hostage for longer, which I don't think that matters way too much if he can or not, but that's another thing to add. He holds the core for a very long time and is allowed to set up anything he wants if you don't fully get on top of the pillars, which any rune with a brain will try to make sure you can't do that. But it's also assuming rune players are actually good at the game. Next character, Feeney's debuff is also a little bit of an issue when it comes to Castellast. That debuff makes you take an insane amount of damage once that's on you. If they have a Juliet, X, Erasmus, Zentaro, or even Vice, who do already really good damage for the most part, just slap that extra 20% on them. Yeah. They're exploding. And at base, it's really not that bad. Because usually you can dodge the hits and you'll be fine. You might take a little bit of damage, but overall, you're good. But as soon as Castellast gets in play, it starts to just kind of minimize what you can do. And that debuff is on you for an obscene amount of time, and we're still not counting Chrono Boost, we're only counting Castellast. And for the last character, Octavia, speed lasts 3 seconds about. It's a little under 3 seconds with Castellast, which basically kind of takes away the way you play around Flow State. The way you play around it is you hit it away from her, and if she doesn't have projectile, she's not going to be able to keep her speed up, just period. Unless she has every speed increaser in the game, she's not catching up to it for the most part, unless she predicts you perfectly. But the fact it lasts 3 seconds makes it really, almost 3 seconds, makes it really hard to deal with. Because she will catch up to it, and she kind of has it infinitely unless you hard CC her, which isn't that difficult to do, but still. It's kind of just not fully fair, in a way, what this does on these characters, and how it increases their buffs and debuffs so much, and makes them really, really difficult to deal with. I get it. Awakenings are supposed to be things that make characters better. That's what they're supposed to do. But I think Castellast does way too much, if you get what I mean. And with that being said, I think they should maybe tune it down to 55% instead of 70%. So that way it's still good. But if it's paired with Chrono Boost, it'd only be 90% as well, instead of 105%. So right now, Castellast gives you 70%, and Chrono Boost gives you 35%. You get 105% increased duration on the buffs and debuffs. And especially, like I said, with the fun policing abilities, just makes it miserable. And makes them way stronger than they need to be, if I'm being honest. And if it was toned down to 35%, it was toned down to 55% instead of 70%. The highest you could go would be 90%, and I think that'd be a better spot for it, instead of it being excessively long, is what I'm trying to get at. But anyways, like I said, if you guys agree or disagree with me, leave a comment and tell me if you maybe agree with me and that this awakening is kind of ridiculous. And you can be like, yeah, base take, or you could say, maybe I agree with you, but maybe there's a different way you want to change it in a way, or you could straight up say I disagree, and tell me why this awakening isn't really good. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.